to Face, the program
that frontally discusses
political and social issues in Nigeria. The weekly program brought to you on Wednesday by 6 p.m. Nigerian time, anchored by Prince Ewemade Concourse, powered by GCSDN.
Join us.
Good evening, good morning, good afternoon, depends on the part of the continent that you are joining this program from today. My name is Prince Ewemade Konko. I am your host for today's segment. Our discussion for today is, does restructuring Nigeria economy start with fixing the dual currency exchange? I am going to be joined by my brother and a friend, but I'm going to properly introduce him. But before I do that, let me also apologize for not being able to come online over the last 2 weeks. We have been having some technical difficulties with our StreamYard. So that was why, usually, if I'm not going to be online, I normally have a pre-recorded program that's streamlined on the day I'm available. But due to the technical difficulties, I was unable to do that as well. So I want to once again apologize to my viewers all over the world. I know you guys were probably expecting some other odd segment from this program. Today, I'm going to formally introduce my guest. He has been a guest on this program prior to today, but I'm going to formally introduce him. So Nigerians in diaspora, those of you who don't know him, you can know the person that's going to be speaking to us today. His name is Nusa Osaiku, hail from Benin City, Edo State, graduated from University of Benin with a degree in chemical engineering and earned a postgraduate degree in project management from Colorado State University in the United States. He is a certified project manager, Lean Six Sigma Green Beret holder with an expert in service delivery, process improvement, and prevention of waste, fraud, and abuse. He was a student union activist and one of the leader of the SAP, which is this structural adjustment program in Nigeria back in the 80s. SAP, it demonstrated against the IBB, that's the then former president IBB president Ibrahim Badamasi Babangida. I'm sorry about that. Government in the 1989. He had several interns with security agency as a student union leader, including subsequent arrests at the Shell Petroleum Development Company in Warri and Delta State of Nigeria by the men of the SSS, now known as the Department of State Security Service, in 1989, and where he spent 57 days at the custody of the Department of the SSS and the DMI in Lagos. Those of you are familiar with the DMI, those great agencies that used to operate under the military dictatorship. It's a patriotic Nigeria and unapologetic believer in the transformation of Nigeria through a cultural revolution from the ground up. He is currently the global coordinator of ASA, African Congress for Cultural and Economic Resistance, and is based in the United States. Mr. Nusa Osaiku, you are welcome to the program today, sir.
Thank you very much for having me. It's a pleasure to join you.
How are you?
We're doing fine. Thank you so much for asking.
Thank you. Our topic for today, like you already know, does restructuring Nigeria economy start with fixing the dual currency exchange rate? That is our topic that we are going to be discussing on this segment today. What do you think about restructuring Nigeria economy? Let's start from there.
Thank you very much for the opportunity here to be with you and also to interact with your numerous viewers. The question is a very apt and question given the situation of things in Nigeria today. The Nigerian economy is currently in a state of economic malaise. Rather, to put it succinctly, it is stagnant. And we need to do something revolutionary and radical in order to begin to kickstart the economy so that the average Nigerian can benefit from the economy of that nation. And doing this, frankly speaking, without currently reforming the present dual exchange rate policy that has been in existence in Nigeria since mid 80s, since 1987 or 89, we'll be wasting our time, because the current policy of subsidizing exchange rates for businesses and well-connected individuals and bankers by the Nigerian people is not only an additional tax on the Nigerian people, it's a burden on the Nigerian economy, because this process is being subverted by those who are well-connected in Nigeria to the detriment of our great country. So we'll look for the opportunity to further explain on this and expatiate so that Nigerians can get a clear picture of what is going on. This is a big hoax. It's an economic hoax on the Nigerian people. It is the biggest fraud being perpetrated on our people.
Thank you. My viewers all over the world, wherever you are watching this program from, please share this video, and make sure it gets to every nook and cranny of Nigeria, and especially for those of you in the diaspora. Let's share this video. Today is an exciting moment, and the topic is very interesting. This has to do with every Nigeria, irrespective of your tribe, your religion, or your political affiliation. So I advise you to share, and also you can also send us your comment. If you want to ask Mr. Nusa a question directly, send me a question on the comment section on the Facebook, YouTube, Twitter. Then we can also read your question. Before we continue, let's bring up a newspaper from Nigeria that I'll talk about the devolution of power, which is the Times newspaper. Coming there. Yeah, the Times newspaper, where the analysis with devolution of power, restructuring sub-Nigeria, the challenges. That's the newspaper from the Nigerian Premium Times. Okay, let's continue.
If I may comment briefly on that.
Sorry. Go ahead.
I was saying if you wanted me to comment briefly on that article, I will. Because
that's fine. You can.
Yes. Many people are already aware of my position on restructuring. I believe that restructuring of Nigeria, or those clamoring for restructuring of Nigeria, are wasting their time. This is another red herring. It does not address the fundamental issues of Nigeria, what really ails our country. Because before restructuring, there was a talk of national conference, sovereign national conference. Now it's political restructuring. The question I have for Nigerians is this, or for those clamoring for restructuring: how can restructuring fix electricity? Will restructuring fix our roads? Will restructuring create jobs? Will restructuring Nigerian political structure end corruption? Will restructuring our political system, will it replace the current corrupt politicians with a new set of people, transparent people? No. The question that Nigerians must ask is this: what is it that is at the root cause of our problems? And it is our belief at ASA that the root cause of our problem in Nigeria are purely cultural. That we need to reform our ways, our traditions, and our norms, and begin to embrace an ethical and transparent culture, both in private and public life, so that Nigeria can indeed become the country of our dreams. And not until we do that, until we embrace culture change, which would, in essence, lead to a culturally transformed society, anything else we do will be an exercise in futility. But if we do embrace culture change and begin to promote the principle of accountability, the principle of integrity, ethics, transparency, and of course, more importantly, to condition our justice system on atonement before forgiveness, which means when any Nigerian, irrespective of their position, whether they are a bricklayer, a police officer, an army officer, a governor, a commissioner, or the president of Nigeria, when any individual in that country commits a crime, that individual must be made to pay the price. There should be no, oh, Oga, I beg, oh, please let us forgive. No, you pay the price, you do the time, then you can get forgiveness. Until you do that, there should be no forgiveness, because the propensity of Nigerians to easily forgive any atrocity, to forgive any infraction of the law, is one of the bane of our society. Because when you begin to forgive people of criminalities and criminal conduct, you are in essence encouraging others to continue to break the law, which will lead to a lawless society. So we must change that. And that, in essence, is culture change. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for adding that to your previous statement. What impact does the dual currency exchange rate have on the naira and the local economy? Can you explain that to our audience, please?
Thank you very much. Let me just pretty much do what they call Economics 101. The currency regime or regimen is basically affected by the laws of supply and demand, which means that when there is excess naira chasing a limited amount of foreign currency, the resultant effect is that the value of the naira will go down relative to the foreign currency. I'll give you a practical example. If you have 100 naira in circulation, okay, and you only have $1 in circulation, guess what? It's going to take you much more naira to buy that dollar. Alternatively, if you have 100 naira in circulation and you have $1,000 at the disposal of the government or both the government and the parallel market, then you will need fewer naira to buy dollars. So these are governed by the laws of supply and demand. But however, there is an additional element here which complicates the Nigerian situation, which is the introduction of what they call the second-tier foreign exchange market by the Babangida administration way back in the mid-1980s or late 80s, which has metamorphosed into what today is known as the black market. So what the government is doing today, or which they started since then, was that in addition to the black market, we have the government exchange market, or the official rate, what they call it, official rate. And in that official rate, the rate is almost half of what is obtainable in the black market. Currently today, if my estimates are correct, a dollar in the black market is 735 naira, which is an outrage. But at the government exchange, you can still purchase a dollar at a rate of 435 or 440 naira, which is a difference of almost 300 naira, precisely speaking. Now, if you then look at this, that many businesses and people with children abroad, people who want to go on medical tourism, or those who want to travel abroad for personal or other reasons, they are able to go to the CBN or to their banks and purchase dollar at this subsidized rate. Now, the problem with this is that when you allow certain people to begin to get subsidized foreign exchange, you are basically introducing another element into the whole equation. And that, again, is in essence bringing down the value of the naira. And I'll tell you how it does that. Now, imagine, for instance, a man named John Doe or Musa Inuwa goes to the CBN because he's a business, CBN or his bank, and says, I need $100 million. Okay? And he pays, or say, I need $1 million. And it's sold to him at the rate of 435 naira. So what does he pay? He pays 435 million naira for $1 million. And he goes straight with that $1 million. He takes it to the black market. Without doing anything, he can sell that same dollar immediately at the black market for 735 million naira. And at the next auction from the CBN, he can go back again and get another dollar. So what you're basically doing here now is that, given the culture of Nigerians here, we don't have patriotic businessmen in Nigeria. We don't have a groundswell of patriotic citizens for a variety of reasons, which we will not go into today. But what you are finding now is that there are a lot of people, both in the banking sector, in the private sector, and also government officials and politicians, who are subverting this process. They have no need for foreign exchange. But because they can make a quick buck, they will approach the bank, they will procure this foreign exchange, and they'll go and sell it at the black market. What this does is that it creates an artificial number of requisition for dollars. It inflates artificially the number of demands for foreign currency. And when that happens, you are putting unnecessary pressure and weight on the naira. So which means the naira is unable to meet that equilibrium. Therefore, the naira will continue to slide. So if we need to change our economy and transform it for the benefit of our people, we must eradicate immediately, with immediate effect, the current government or the official exchange rate for the foreign currency, so that every Nigerian, whether you are poor, rich, you are a government official, or you are a businessman, let them access their foreign currency needs from the black market. When you do this, what you are going to find in the first instance is that the phantom request for dollars, the phantom demands for British pounds and what have you, will disappear. What you will now find is that those who genuinely need foreign currency are the ones that will be accessing them through the black market. But if you have a situation that we have today, where you have a government or the official rate, you are going to have a lot of corruption and a lot of abuse of the process, which is currently the situation today. And that is the reason why the naira is constantly falling, because it is under pressure by these inelastic demands by unscrupulous Nigerians. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for that wonderful explanation. We're going to take a quick break, and we'll come back and continue the program. Thank you. If you are just joining us on this program, please subscribe to this channel and share. Continue to share until it gets to every nook and cranny of Nigeria. This is our affair. This is the Nigeria affair. My brother, Mr. Nusa, thank you so much. My next question for you: how can we fix the economy to ensure greater participation of Nigerians, and does our banks have any role to play? Please, can you explain in detail?
Thank you so much for the question. That's an excellent question. Yes, it is important in order to avert an imminent crisis in Nigeria that the incoming government must reform the Nigerian economy. We said that one of the first steps must be to immediately eliminate the dual foreign exchange rate, which means the official government rate must immediately be cancelled and done away with, so that all those who seek the dollar should approach it from the black market. And after a period of time, what will happen with that is that the naira will appreciate, because all those fake and phantom demands for dollars will disappear. So we'll not get a stable demand for dollar. Only genuine businesses and genuine business people and genuine individuals will go and access dollars through the black market. And government should not be in the business of subsidizing the personal lifestyles of any Nigerian, the business interests of any Nigerian, or even the medical needs of any Nigerian. If you have the need, then you go and buy it yourself. That's number one. Number two, on how we reform this economy, we are currently at ASA in the process of developing a job strategy. And what it will call for is a total transformation of the automotive industry in Nigeria. What we are proposing is that the incoming government immediately move Nigeria away from using fossil fuel to drive our vehicles. What are we trying to say here? Nigeria is a major producer of crude oil and petroleum products. So we are saying that the automotives in Nigeria, whether they are cars, vans, or trucks, should now move away from using petrol or gasoline, as we call it here in the States, from fueling the vehicle, and instead, let's move into using ethanol. Now, by moving away from gasoline to use ethanol, we can create as much as 10 million jobs for Nigerians just across the spectrum. And I'll give you a little scenario on how we do this. So what that would also do is that it will also provide ample opportunity for Nigerians or for Nigeria to earn more money, because some of the huge amount of refined products that we are consuming locally, which the government quote unquote says they are subsidizing, which we disagree with, but can now be sold as part of our export to neighboring countries and earn the country foreign currencies. Then to how we then drive our own vehicles, we use ethanol, and this ethanol can be procured or produced through cultivation of sugarcane and corn. And I'll tell you what that means. That means huge amount of opportunities for farmers. both small-scale and large-scale farmers. Just imagine how much corn or how much sugarcane you will need to cultivate in order to drive all the vehicles in Nigeria. That is going to be a bonanza for farmers. And every young man can immediately go into cultivation of sugarcane or cultivation of corn, which would then be harvested, through the supply chain channels that will be set up and then processed, by ethanol plants that are going to spring up everywhere in Nigeria. Those are going to be jobs, millions and millions of jobs. Okay, and not only that, the mechanics and technicians, automotive technicians, will also get a bonanza because they will have to retool the engines of the various vehicles that are coming to Nigeria or are already in Nigeria to be able to now use ethanol to drive these vehicles. So essentially, all the crude oil that we produce in Nigeria now will now be for export purposes. Why? We'll now create additional value stream by using ethanol to drive or power our vehicles. And that is job bonanza for our people, because millions and millions of jobs will be created both in the cultivation, those who will be farming the products like sugarcane and corn, those who will be harvesting it, and those who will be purchasing them through the supply chain now, transporting it to the factories where they'll be processed and converted into ethanol. So across a wide spectrum, jobs and jobs and jobs are going to be created for our people. And we believe that this is one thing that the government must take seriously as soon as they come into office. And I'll give you an example. The country of Brazil. Brazil is a major producer of crude oil and petroleum products. But since the mid-1970s, Brazil has moved away from petroleum products for their vehicles. They power all their vehicles through the use of ethanol. And that is a bonanza for Brazilian farmers. We can do the same thing in Nigeria.
Thank you. From your analysis, do you believe this is practicable or doable in a country like Nigeria?
Yeah, thank you so much. Again, which you are aware, I am an unapologetic advocate of cultural change in Nigeria. And I believe, and we believe at ASA, that any transformational achievement in every sphere of our national life must be underpinned by cultural change. What are we saying here? That the way Nigerians go about business, our attitude to law, to rules and regulations, our attitude to work, our attitude to the country must change. We must believe and begin to embrace transparency and ethical conduct. If we do, then we can make this transformation from petroleum products to ethanol to drive and power our vehicles. But if we don't, just like we have numerous challenges in the field of education, in the field of security, and in other spheres, we will continue to have it. Because as we often say, many have said that the problem of Nigeria is corruption. We don't deny that. But we believe that the solution to solving the various problems of Nigeria, whether it's corruption, whether it's problem of lawlessness, insecurity, must begin by cultural change. There must be a massive reorientation of the Nigerian people. We must begin to embrace a new way and attitude and the belief that the problem of Nigeria requires every Nigerian, young, small, old, man and woman, to do right by the country. Nigeria is not the problem. Nigerians are the problem. And when Nigerians become transformed culturally to now begin to believe in ethics, integrity, and service to others, then we'll begin to move forward. And when we embrace and implement culture change, then we can begin to do great things along with the current policy we are advocating here. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Let me see if we have any comment in the comment section before we proceed. Okay, there's no comment. Let me move ahead to the next question for you. Okay, if you were advising the incoming government, what will you have them tackle first to boost the economy and improve the quality of life of Nigerians?
Thank you so much for the question. There are numerous ways we can immediately, the incoming government can immediately kickstart the Nigerian economy. Like we said, the first thing they must do is to immediately stop the government exchange rate, the official rate. That's number one. That would immediately give a boost to the economy. Number two is that government must come up with a policy, okay, that would seem to incentivize the banks to be on the side of the Nigerian people. Because there is no economy anywhere in the world that will thrive where banks are giving loans out at a rate of 30% or more. In Nigeria, when you access a loan through the banks, there are so many shenanigans. Okay, there's no transparency in the process. And aside from that, the interest rate is so astronomical that no legitimate business can actually take such loans and thrive. That is why perhaps the performance rate on most of the loans in Nigeria are below par, because people are not able to pay back. Now, government can, as a policy, set up a small business bank or loan scheme, which can be administered through the current banking system to give out loans to businesses at reasonable interest rate of say maybe 5%, repayable within a short period of time, so that the entrepreneurial spirit of the Nigerian people can be put to work. Nigerians are very industrious and innovative from a business perspective. People have small businesses, small shops, auto shops, and things like that. So when you give this loan, but they must be securitized, because again, we have a culture in Nigeria where people have a culture of, well, if I take a loan, I don't have to pay back. It's government money. This is my share. But these are some of the things that we say must change when we talk about culture change, so that people not only see government resources as, hey, gift money, but rather as resources of the people and for the people, which they can access, but they must pay back so that the system can continue to go on. So that's number one. Incentivize the banks to give out loans at low interest rate to people who have business ideas, innovative ideas, or encourage expansion of businesses. That's number one. Number two, we must immediately fix the moribund power situation in Nigeria. And I'm glad to know that the National Assembly passed a law recently that basically allowed the various states in the federation to generate and distribute their own power. And the president has signed it. That will go a long way in improving the power situation, which in fact is at the moment a tax and a burden on the Nigerian people and Nigerian businesses. But when you take that away, many businesses in Nigeria spend as high as 20 to 25% of their production costs just on power generation, for diesel, buying of diesel and generating power to subsidize the non-existent current power infrastructure in the country. So if government is able to fix that through a public-private partnership and take away that would be a huge direct investment actually to businesses and to others willing to start businesses in Nigeria. That's number two. Number three, in the area of security, we see a huge area for government to actually enable the right policies, or set up the right policies so that jobs can be created. For instance, we believe at ASA that as many as 10 million jobs can be created in the Department of Public Safety to ensure security of lives and property in Nigeria. And this can be paid for through the imposition of a security tax on businesses and stakeholders, homeowners, so that on every street in Nigeria, there is a public safety individual, so that we can ensure the safety and security of every Nigerian. Because when there is security and there is safety, people can thrive and be innovative. Number four, we believe that one of the ways government can also create jobs, not create jobs, let's rephrase here, because we don't believe government should be in the business of creating jobs, but rather be in the business of creating the right environment for people to create jobs. Is to do this, reform the educational system in Nigeria. Today, we have too many universities in Nigeria. Everyone don't have to go to university. However, what we have today, we can, through the current existing structures, like the National Youth Service Corps program, that program can be extended for a mandatory 3-year service, where the first 1 year is the national service, and then the next 2 years should be for skills acquisition. And government can, set up the relevant laws to enable this, to where people can then go on an apprentice scheme for 2 years to learn skill sets like carpentry, fashion and design, automotive technician, plumbing, electrician, just to name it, welding and fabrication. And then within that 2 years and the apprenticeship, they would then have to take a board certified exam that would then certify them as qualified artisans in those fields of specialization. So what you then do now is this: instead of having citizens always looking for jobs, we now begin to create a nation of job creators. So because this group of people will now come out after the 2 years scheme now, duly qualified, and they can now go into the field either to set up their own outfit with a soft loan from the government scheme set up, or go into partnership with others to set up an outfit with the assistance of the private sector. Because what you are doing with this type of scheme is to create demand. What we can do really to transform our economy is to create the relevant demands. When there's a demand, then there will be a supply. Like the reference we made with the transforming the Nigerian automotive industry to start using ethanol. If you create immediate demand for ethanol now, this supply will begin to come and find a demand, which means a lot of people are going to go into farming of corn and farming of sugarcane in order to be able to meet the demand that is already in the marketplace.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you so much for that wonderful explanation. And my last question for you today: do you have any political ambition now or in the future? If so, please could you explain to my audience, please?
Thank you very much for that question. Every individual have political aspirations of one form or the other, either to engage politically or to seek elective office. To be honest, I have had political aspirations from a very young age. But given the current political architecture in Nigeria today, people like myself cannot seek political office because the system and the current political architecture is corrupt and rotten to the core from the ground up. Therefore, what we have decided as a mission is not to seek political office, but to help transform our nation and our people, to embrace culture change. That was why we established a group called African Congress for Cultural and Economic Renaissance. And the goal of this organization is to help transform Nigeria and the rest of Africa to embrace culture change, and also to transform our economy so that the economy will serve the majority of our people. And we believe when we do this, then we would have achieved the most, because we believe at ESA that leadership starts from the ground up. So if we can transform our people, then we can set a correct vision for not only our nation, but the rest of Africa to follow.
Thank you so much, my fellow Nigerians and my viewers all over the world. We have almost come to the end of today's segment. Usually this program is scheduled for 30 minutes every Wednesday, 6 p.m. Nigerian time. My brother, can we have your closing comment, please?
Thank you very much for having us today. It's been a pleasure to be your guest here. This issue today is a critical one. The economy of any nation is the lifeblood of the nation. For so long, vast majority of the Nigerian people have not been able to participate actively in the Nigerian economy. They've been cut out of the mainstream. And the elites have, in essence, manipulated and controlled the Nigerian economy. That we are saying that it is about time if Nigeria is to survive as one nation that is peaceful and that is at peace with itself, we must find a way to bring in the vast majority of our people to benefit from the Nigerian economy. And one of the ways that we believe this can be done is through systemic policies by government that will seek to expand the window of opportunity every Nigerian willing to participate, willing to work hard and play by the rules of the game, so that they can engage and benefit from the Nigerian economy. And we believe that will start by first eradicating the corrupt government exchange rate for foreign currencies and implement a single parallel market for everyone seeking foreign exchange to go and access foreign exchange, because that would immediately eliminate all the phantom and illegitimate demands for foreign currencies, which is putting pressure on the naira, thereby leading to inflation, which is being borne by the vast majority of our people. And we also believe that it is not the responsibility of the average Nigerian to subsidize the school, to subsidize the children of the rich and the wealthy to go abroad and get education, or to subsidize businesses, or to subsidize vacation trips for the wealthy and the well-connected, but that everybody willing to purchase foreign currency should go and purchase it from a single market, number one. And number two, we also believe that government can institute the right policies to move our economy and our automotive industry to embrace ethanol as a means of fueling our vehicles, so that all the petroleum products can now be earmarked for export to earn more money for our people and our nation, and also create more jobs, millions of jobs, through the new industry that will emerge around factories producing and manufacturing ethanol for our local consumption. And finally, and more importantly, we believe that no matter what we do, it is important that government must embark on a massive campaign to reorient Nigerians, which is what we call culture change. On our part, we are willing to engage with government, as well as the incoming government, and engage with faith organizations in Nigeria, the Christian community, the Muslim community, and the African traditional religion community, so that the message should be consistent, which is, in Nigeria, there should be no forgiveness without atonement as a public policy, which means when we break the laws, we must pay the price, so that we can have a lawful society instead of a lawless society that we have today. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, my brother Nusa Usaiku. It's always an honor to have you here as my guest. My fellow Nigerians, we have come to the end of today's segment, and I look forward to see you guys again next week, same time, same place. Until then, remain blessed. Signing out.